Canada did not reduce immigration targets by mistake. Every number you see for 2026 reflects a policy decision. If you do not understand those decisions, you will misread your PR chances. And you do not want to miss on that. This video is not advice and it is not a speculation. It is a policy breakdown of Canada's 2026 immigration direction based entirely on official government documents, the supplementary immigration level plans for 2024 to 26 and 25 to 27. I am not going to talk about agents, shortcuts or quick fixes. That's not my job. I am going to explain what the government is doing, why is it doing it, and how applicants should realistically interpret this direction. If you're planning your future about Canada, understanding policy matters more than motivation. Let's get started. To understand 2026, you first need to understand what an immigration level plan is and what it is not. The plan is not a promise to applicants. It is not a guarantee of invitations. It is not a timeline for PR approvals. The immigration levels, specifically the plan, is a population management framework. It answers three questions for the government. How many people should enter Canada, in what categories, and at what speed? And when the government changes these numbers, it is responding to pressure in housing, healthcare, infrastructure, wages, and social services. When you see a reduction, it is not personal, it is structural. Starting off with the permanent resident target change for 2026. Under the earlier 2024 and 26 plan, Canada was publicly committed to stabilizing permanent resident intake around 500,000 per year. The chart is there. That projection expected increased in massive numbers. The updated 2025 to 27 plan revises that outlook. For 2026, the permanent resident target drops to roughly 380,000. From a policy standpoint, that is not a minor adjustment. It signals a shift from expansion to control. Lower target means the government must choose more carefully. It cannot rely on volume to solve labor shortage or demographic issue. Selection becomes more deliberate, thresholds matter more, and margins for error shrink. For applicants, this means PR is still possible, but the system is less forgiving now. We get one shot. Why temporary resident targets matter more than PR targets? The most significant policy change in these plans is not permanent residents. It is temporary resident, study permit, work permits. For the first time, the government has introduced explicit numerical targets for temporary residents, including international students and foreign workers. And this is critical because temporary residents are the main pipeline into permanent residency. By controlling entry at the temporary level, the government controls future PR demands. In 2026, the target for new temporary residents have dropped sharply compared to previous years. And this is not about punishing students or workers. It is about managing downstream pressure. Fewer temporary residents today means fewer PR applicants tomorrow. That is intentional. But the government's stated policy reason. The government is usually transparent about why it make these changes itself. Housing shortage are the primary driver, infrastructure strain is another, wage suppression in certain sector is a concern. It has been. From a policy perspective, immigration is now being used as a balancing tool rather than a growth accelerator. This is why the government openly acknowledges that population growth may slow or even temporary decline in 2025 and 2026. That statement alone tells you how serious the recalibration is. Canada is choosing stability over speed. But the main question is how this shifts the logic of PR selection. When intake volumes are high, system tolerate inefficiencies. When intake volume drops, system prioritizes alignment. That is why policy direction now favors applicants with Canadian work experience, applicants already integrated into the labor market, and applicants with strong language proficiency, applicants aligned to regional and economic needs. And economic reason remains the biggest category on emphasis shifts from quantity to fit. The government is no longer absorbing risk, it is transforming risk to applicants. What's this policy direction discourages? Equally important is what the policy discourages. It discourages passive presence in Canada without a career progression, long-term reliance on low skill or unstable employment, repeated extension without skill growth, and unplanned study or work pathway. These are not moral judgments, they are selection filters. The system increasingly reward momentum. What applicants often misunderstand. Many applicants misunderstand one key point. These immigration plans do not dictate how express entry draws will occur. They do not guarantee CRS score ranges. They do not promise invitations with a certain time frame. They establish ceilings and directions. Success depends on how well an individual profile fits within those. Applicants who treat these plans as guarantee misunderstand policy mechanics. What the 2026 signal is really saying. When you step back and look at both plans together, the message is consistent. Canada is not closing doors. Canada is narrowing gates. The country still needs immigrants, but it needs immigrants who integrate faster, contribute sooner, and rely less on public system. This is not exclusion, it is optimization. My final thoughts for planning for Canada PR in 2026 requires a shift in mindset. You're not competing against the past. You're not competing within a recalibrated system. Understanding policy direction does not guarantee success, but ignoring it guarantees failure for sure. The people who adapt will still succeed. The people who rely on outdated assumptions will struggle. Keep that in mind. If you want policy-driven, honest explanation of Canada immigration without shortcuts or false promises, subscribe to this channel. Comment below with your current status and the policy area you want broken down next. This channel is for people who want to understand system, not chase hype. Hope this helps. Happy New Year.